WMDT 47 News, live at 10.
The debate over pesticide use is drawing strong opinions across the country. What local farmers and lawmakers are doing in an effort to ease the concerns of Delmarva residents. Plus, a Delaware panel sets their sights on the federal health care reform law, how the first state is preparing to implement the major overhaul. And an Amber Alert turns into a nationwide manhunt as a father pleads for a kidnapper and suspected murderer to return his missing daughter. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm David Caldwell. Emily has the night off. More news in less time starts now. And we'll get to those stories in just a minute. But first, 3 people are arrested after reports of shots fired in Felton. Police say Natasha Teague opened fire Monday night on a 22-year-old man and his father while they were walking towards their vehicle at the intersection of Central Drive and South DuPont Highway. An investigation led them to arrest Teague along with 2 others, including Ronette Powell, after officials reportedly found a fully loaded 9mm pistol with the serial number scratched off, along with 2 magazines and 70 rounds of ammunition. A family of 5 is in the hands of the American Red Cross after a fire damaged their home in Delmar. The Delmar Fire Department tells WMDT a young boy was home alone and asleep in the North 2nd Street home on Monday. When he woke up, the house was in flames. A next-door neighbor says when she saw the smoke, she ran over.
I went over there and I seen the ladder right there and I just started picking it up. I told him to come out and he wouldn't come out because he was scared.
The boy eventually came down the ladder to safety, and officials also reportedly rescued 3 out of 4 kittens living in the home. Details are still limited at this time, but witnesses did tell WMDT a cable wire connected to the oven allegedly started the fire. A judge has ordered a bond review hearing for Eric Bodenweiser. The former Delaware State Senate candidate has been charged with repeatedly molesting a boy more than 20 years ago. Bodenweiser was released on bond last year, but that bond will be reviewed at Friday's hearing. The judge refused to postpone the hearing until next Wednesday, when a closed-door hearing regarding a motion by the defense to suppress evidence in the case will resume. Switching gears now to a topic plaguing several towns across the shore: booze on the beach. Well, it appears the town of Ocean City is looking to address the issue. Monday night, the town council unanimously passed a motion to pursue a public awareness campaign to remind visitors of the zero-tolerance policy on the beach. WMDT's Jimmy Lee reports tonight.
We don't want any thugs in Ocean City. We don't want people that are going to cause problems in Ocean City.
It's a fight Councilman Brent Ashley has been fighting all summer. After a number of high-profile incidents, including shootings and stabbings, he's been pushing for legislation that would bring Ocean City back to what he says was once a family-friendly beach town. And after failing to get a boardwalk decency ordinance on the agenda, he's now turning to the issue of alcohol.
Most of the behavior problems that we have on the beach are alcohol related.
Officer Mike Levy admits alcohol is in fact the biggest problem in Ocean City, but he says the number of alcohol-related incidents on the beach is actually down, and alcohol enforcement is up.
It's evident in a lot of statistics. Our crashes are down. Our fatalities, we have no fatalities in automobile accidents or pedestrian crashes this year.
Stephen Kolaric has been working on the boardwalk for the past 7 summers, and he says he sees people drinking on the beach all the time, but he doesn't think of it as a real problem.
Lifeguards, usually, I never see them say anything. They usually just turn the other way, and as long as you're not reckless or out of control.
But Officer Levy warns if you're caught on the beach with booze, there are consequences.
Alcohol and salt water do not mix.
Jemmy Lee, WMDT 47 News.
If you're cited for alcohol on the beach, it's a criminal misdemeanor and you will have to face a judge. Now, as far as the public awareness campaign goes, town officials tell us they're working with the Ocean City Police Department to come up with some ideas. So if you're thinking of heading to the beach this weekend, be sure to leave that booze at home. But will this cloudy and humid weather put a damper on your plans? Let's check in now with meteorologist Stephen Shively, who joins us from the Weather Center. Stephen.
Well, unfortunately, David, the rain showers and the cloudy conditions looks like we'll be continuing for the rest of our work week. Outside today, we did see a little bit of sun in our late afternoon hours. Temperatures were a little bit warmer today, 84 degrees in Salisbury. Most of our highs were in the low 80s, and we did see a break in those rain showers in our afternoon and evening. However, We do have some heavier rain showers north of D.C. right now, passing through Baltimore. The good news, it looks like most of these rain showers should stay to our north, but maybe the extreme northern parts of the eastern shore could see a rain shower or two in our overnight hours, but most of us will just have to deal with the cloud cover, which is going to keep our overnight lows very warm. Right now, still 75 degrees in Salisbury, and most of us will be struggling to get below that 70-degree mark overnight tonight. All of your full forecast a little bit later on, but first, back to you, David.
All right, Stephen, thanks. We're starting to learn more details about the recovery plan for the Superstorm Sandy Supplemental Appropriations Bill. Last week, Senators Barbara Mikulski and Ben Cardin announced the $8.6 million recovery plan for the state. Senator Mikulski tells WMDT that all of that money will go directly to Somerset County and will be dispersed by county commissioners and Crisfield Mayor P.J. Purnell.
It's about continuing the repair and the rebuilding of these houses. It's working with small business to make sure that they get back on their feet, that Crisfield is an economic engine.
Now, these funds are part of the federal Superstorm Sandy Supplemental Appropriations Bill, which the Senate passed in January. And right in Somerset County, Sandy caused some serious damage to the Crisfield Pier. This video is from earlier this year, and as you can see, there was a lot of work to do. WMDT spoke with Mayor P.J. Purnell, who tells us that the reconstruction project is still on schedule with only a minor setback. Some of the materials arrived late, so now instead of the anticipated September completion, Purnell expects it to be done by October. And for more on this, plus any of today's local headlines, you know where to go, WMDT.com. Pesticide use has spawned nationwide debate, and here in Maryland, some residents, activists, and health officials are worried. But with local farmers and the Maryland Department of Agriculture making strides, is there really anything to fear? WMDT's Kelly Rule reports tonight.
Pesticides. Activists say they can have serious long-term effects, anywhere from asthma to cancer, and some Maryland residents are concerned.
Playgrounds and stuff like that, you know, if it's on the equipment, children put it in their mouth.
So, the Maryland Department of Agriculture has created a group to identify any gaps in reporting or using pesticides. But some local farmers say,
we kind of feel like that we're already doing enough reporting. I have to keep records of everything I spray, where I spray it.
And that's not all. A commercial pesticide applicator has to hold 2 permits with the department and pass an exam. Plus, Richardson says today, farmers are using fewer chemicals than ever.
There's been a lot of advances over the years that have made it so that's not an issue.
Some trucks like this even have a built-in computer system that can regulate how much pesticide is being sprayed.
It actually paints a picture so I know where I've been in the field.
While farmers face extensive regulations, homeowners who simply pick up pesticides from the store don't face any.
But the real threat is what they're applying themselves.
But officials say pesticide drifts have decreased.
Something you should be aware about, but I don't think you should go through every day fearing.
Kelly Rule, WMDT 47 News.
The Maryland Pesticide Reporting and Information Work Group will hold its second meeting on Monday from 1 to 4 p.m. in the House Office Building in Annapolis. And now to the stories making headlines across our nation this evening. A painful chapter for 3 women kidnapped and held hostage for a decade in Cleveland is slowly coming to a close. The home of Ariel Castro has been reduced to a pile of rubble. Demolition began with the aunt of Gina De Jesus, one of Castro's 3 captives, taking the first hit on the house. Before the demolition, former captive Michelle Knight was in the neighborhood handing out yellow balloons to people gathered near the site.
It represents all the millions of children that were never found, and the ones that passed away that were never heard. Why it was important to be here today is because nobody was there for me when I was missing. And I want the people out there to know, including the mothers, that they can have strength, they can have hope, and their child will come back. They will. Just have the love in God.
According to prosecutors, Castro cried when he signed over the house deed for demolition, recalling, quote, many happy memories there, end quote. Last week, he was sentenced to life in prison plus 1,000 years for his crimes. The FBI has joined the international search for a missing teen kidnapped by a family friend who is now wanted for murder and arson. ABC's Brandy Hitt joins us now with more on the investigation.
An international manhunt is underway for James DiMaggio, who authorities say kidnapped 16-year-old Hannah Anderson following a deadly confrontation at his Southern California home Sunday that ended in this inferno. Hannah's father made this plea to DiMaggio, someone he had considered a family friend.
I'm begging you to let my daughter go. You've taken everything else. Hannah, we all love you very much. If you have a chance, you take it. You run.
Amid the ashes, detectives found the body of Hannah's mother, Christina, along with the remains of a child close friends believe is Hannah's 8-year-old brother, Ethan. However, authorities have not officially identified the remains. Angelina Amati says the children knew DiMaggio as Uncle Jim, but that recently Hannah voiced concerns about DiMaggio.
I know Hannah did say she was a little creeped out when Jim did tell her that he had a crush on her.
Detectives are following several leads from Texas to Canada and Mexico, thanks in part to the first statewide Amber Alert issued to all California cell phones.
God, you'd bring her back.
As this community near San Diego holds out hope for Hannah's safe return.
DiMaggio is believed to be driving a blue Nissan Versa, but police say he may have ditched that car for another. Still to come tonight, it's a decision decades in the making. The family of Henrietta Lacks finally reaches a privacy agreement with federal health officials. And lawmakers in the first state are gearing up for major changes in store when the president's health care reform law takes effect. We'll have those details when we return. Stay with us.
Find these stories and more at WMDT.com.